Ladies and gents, welcome to Parabellum. Today, we'll be taking a look at the P10C Christmas edition. Now, before we get started, let me mention one thing. This is not going to be a technical review, but rather a take on my experience and what it has been over the 2 years of owning this firearm. Typically, out of the box, what you will get is the firearm and 2 magazines. 215 rounder if you live in the free states, or if you're one of those restricted states, I don't know, you may be getting 1 or 2 10 rounders. It depends on where you live. This specific firearm came with 2 magazines, 15 round each, and I bought a 3rd magazine with an extended base plate. Now let's talk about the firearm itself. The CZ-P10C is a polymer frame striker-fire handgun straight out of the Czech Republic, but you may run into versions that are actually US made in Kansas City, Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. My version is the Czech Republic made one. Not sure if you can read that off here, but it says it right there. All right, let's talk about the features. What do you get with this firearm? This specific model, the Czech Republic made model that I have, the sample size of 1, comes optic ready, but you do not get a plate. You will have to order your own plate online. I got mine from Midway USA for less than $40, taxes and shipping included. It comes with front and rear height sights. I believe these are luminescent sight, so they have to be charged under the light in order for them to glow green in the dark. And this specific model that I have has raised sight. Now, I haven't seen too many P10Cs with this kind of sight. I can't call them suppressor height night sight because they're not very tall, but they're taller than the average one you get. So, and listen, I'm not complaining because I love the fact that it co-witnesses with my red dots. If I can get it to line up there, you may be able to see a little bit. This is not even lower 1/3. I think it's like 1/5, and it's completely okay with me. It comes with ambidextrous slide stop, slide release. You have one on this side, and another one on that side. Another feature of this firearm, which a lot of people talked about, is the texturing on the grip. It is fairly aggressive. The first time holding it, you will notice the difference, especially the rear ones. The ones on the side are pretty soft. It's the front one that are kind of, so if I had to grade this, I would say low, medium, high. These are very aggressive, and you can feel them every time you purchase the handgun. As a matter of fact, I can show you some of the prints that it leaves in my hand when I squeeze or press to fire. It's a feature that I actually like because it makes you feel like you really have a good grip on the gun, and it's not gonna jump every time you shoot. The Gen 1 had some issues with the mag release because it was ambidextrous, and people used to complain about how hard or stiff they were. So they had to rework it. So what they, I guess, ended up doing with the Gen 2 is just a single mag release for us righties, but they are reversible. So if you're a lefty, you can just move this over here and it should be fine. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but this firearm falls under the compact category. So its direct competitor will be the Glock 19, of course, or the M&P 2.0 by Smith & Wesson. If we just look at the P10C, the Glock 19, and the M&P 2.0, out of the box, the trigger on this firearm is by far the best out of the three. It's about 5 pounds, and it gets better the more you shoot the firearm. I'm just gonna give you a quick look here, but we'll talk about it in depth at a later time. So what have I done to this firearm when I first received it? The first thing I did was get a plate from Midway USA. Shipping and taxes included, it was less than 40 bucks. And the plate is actually pretty well designed. It really fills the gap that's left from once you remove the cover, and it secures the optic in place, especially right there. Let me turn it towards the light so you can better see. I'm trying to work these angles out. So you can see right there the design. From this line right here, this is the plate. And the red dot meets it right there. It gives you at least the impression of it being well secured and in place, and it's not gonna go anywhere. So that was the first thing I did. The second one, as you may have already noticed, I got the Swamp Fox Justice with the big window. And it's a 3 MOA dot. Don't let the camera fool you. It's showing you a 25 MOA dot right there. But in reality, it's a 3 MOA if I'm not mistaken. The other thing that I did was I added another mag from Shield Arms. So I bought a CZ magazine from them, and it came pre-installed with the +5 base plate. So I just got the whole combo instead of buying a mag separately and then getting an extended base plate. So this was the first one that I got. It's a +5. So in this you have 20 rounds. And then I also got a base plate for one of the magazines that already came with the firearm. And I got a gold one. Why? Because I wanted to have different colors, easy to identify. And usually I carry, as you can see, I have my V Crown, 124 grains in there. This is what I carry when I do carry the firearm with the mag carrier attached on my Tier 1 conceal, which we'll get into very shortly. And this is mainly the one I use at the range. As you can tell, it's kind of messy because it gets run pretty hard. So there's that. And then I left one just regular. I didn't want to add the base plate, so it's easier to carry this one when it sits like this, and then the extended magazine next to it. So with that out of the way, let's show clear. Clear. I'm gonna remove this one from my workspace here so everybody can be at ease. The third thing that I did was add a light. In my opinion, one of the best, if not the best in this category of light for compact firearm. The Streamlight TLR 7.8, I think is one of the best lights out there. Easily. I love the design. I love the way it fits on this firearm. It looks good on Glocks, MNPs. I mean, you name it, and this thing works. Not right now because, oh, guess what? It has a feature that I turned off. Now, if I have it like this, guess what happens? We get light. So that's another cool feature of this light. I didn't even intend to talk about it, but you have that. So if you turn it like this halfway, well, I guess about a quarter turn, turns the light off. If you have it like this, now it works. So that's a pretty cool feature that it comes with. You have momentary light if you press and hold, let go, and then you have continuous light if you just click or tap and let go. And to carry this firearm, what I did is I purchased a Tier 1 conceal holster. This is the Agus Elite with the Bravo configuration. Basically all that is this. You can remove the mag and still retain the second clip. I feel more secure like this than having this clip being mounted on the mag carrier. And then when you have to remove it because you just want to carry the firearm, you only have one clip to lean on, basically. For me, that wasn't a safe setup, so I went ahead and ordered it with the Bravo configuration. And for the sweat guard, I always do high because you can always trim that down. So keep that in mind if you ever order a holster from a holster company that gives you the option to choose a high guard, a mid, or low. If you're not quite sure, go with the high. You can always trim this down to whatever level works for you. But if you start with mid or low, you can't add material to this. All right, and this right here is the wedge that I added. This is essentially how I carry this. With the high sweat guard, it covers the side of the firearm that leans against my skin like this. And then you have the mag carrier, or whatever they call it. I hope it's mag carrier. But this clips into place like that. And then I have my extra mag that goes in here like this. And this is essentially how I carry it. And then with this one, but I don't want to freak y'all out. So we're just going to keep it this way. And I had no intentions to have these looking this way. I just ordered parts. And I was like, I feel like going with red. So I ordered a red holster. I guess I wanted it to stand out enough to know, okay, if it's red, it's the P10C. I work a lot easier with colors. When I'm able to identify things just based on colors, it helps me a lot. And, you know, removes the need to overthink or test and try. Does this fit here? Is this for that or whatever? So that's why you see so many colors like this. But then they kind of like fit the theme, right? Or the season that we're in, you know? So pretty cool. Now let's talk about the range, or the performance at the range. This thing runs. I have about 780 rounds through it, maybe 800. Kind of lost count at some point, and I let some other people shoot it too. So I'd say roughly 800 rounds. To my knowledge, because it happened to me, I only had one malfunction. It was a failure to feed, and I was limb pressing it. I have the footage. I will probably include it in somewhere in this video. And it was cool to actually catch it on camera. It was crazy. I ran it for about 700 rounds and never had any issues. And then the closer I was getting to 800, that's when that one failure to feed happened. But then again, it was totally on me. But other than that, this firearm is accurate. It is easy to control, especially with these, I don't know what to call these, but these dots are so aggressive, but not abrasive, okay? Let me just get that out of the way. It could irritate your skin depending on the type of skin you have. You know, different folks, different strokes. So it could be too much for you to handle, but with me, I got used to it to the point where I don't even notice it, and it doesn't tear my skin like it used to when I first got it. I mean, I used to leave my DNA all over this thing, but it's either I got stronger or the edges got softer. It's one of the two. And as far as recoil, I think one of the key features that actually makes this gun controllable are, I'm not gonna say soft shooting, but you know, it's tamed. It's because of what CZ did over here. the beaver tail, I guess, undercut or whatever you want to call this. Let me move this out of here so you can actually see what I'm talking about. This shape right here allows you to get your hand right up underneath the firearm like this. I mean, right up there. And help you with every time the slide comes back like that. This is pushing up against and creating enough resistance, I guess, from enough pressure on the back of the firearm, keeping it from flipping up all the way. And I think this helps with control, and a very good design. And it just, even the shape of the grip, it doesn't look like much until you hold it. As far as the trigger is concerned, I must say this is probably one of the best in its category. Top 3, if not top 2. I can only think of, well, let's be fair, we're gonna put Canic in there. So it's in the top 3. Out of the box, no nonsense, good, solid, consistent trigger. This thing is. I'm gonna check a few pulls here. I don't have a trigger gauge, but these pulls are so clean. Let me see if I can get it from this angle. This is the take up, and you go straight to the wall. Breaks. And this is the reset, guys. That's the reset. Straight onto the wall. Break again. Reset. Break. I usually carry this in the fall or winter time because it's cold enough to wear hoodies and just heavy clothing that allows me to conceal this better. So like this time of the year, this is what I'll be carrying. I haven't been able to get to, I know I've probably mentioned that I've owned this for about 2 years. I haven't been able to put more than 1,000 rounds in over 2 years because of this cycle, basically. What I tend to do is train with the firearm that I'm gonna be carrying during that season. And then I do the same for spring, summer, fall, winter. So it's a rotation, honestly. I only have one firearm that sees all 4 seasons, no matter what. It's my Hellcat Pro. But anything else, it's either fall, winter, or spring, summer. All right. And I train with the firearm of the season. So technically, I should be training with this one, and I should have been over 1,000 rounds by now. But then, when you grab another gun or find another one that you like, for instance, the PDP that I brought into the picture, I just got it in August. As a matter of fact, in August, I got the PDP and the Hellcat Pro together. So they've been eating all the food that's supposed to be going through the CZ, but it is what it is. But I did shoot it today, and again, it was great. Very controllable, again, reliable. Out of all my firearms, I like this one a lot because when I bought it, I didn't know what else I could do to make it better. I just couldn't think of something that was missing that could be added onto this firearm to make it better. I just couldn't. Out of all my firearms, when I usually get a new one, I already know, okay, this one will have to be worked on. That will have to be changed. This will have to be improved. That will be that, and so on. This is the only one where I'm like, okay, there's nothing to do here except for just running it. Again, the only thing I did was just get some extensions for the magazine, add a light, and a red dot. Call it a day. That's all I've done to this firearm. I like it the way that it is. I consider it stock because I haven't changed any internals. I didn't play around with it like I have with my FN 509 Tactical. So honestly, out of the box, I'm pleased with this thing. I know some people have had issues in the past, and I have had it too. At first, when you initially get the firearm, this thing is stiff. Like, it's very stiff. You're gonna have to work through a few rounds before you can loosen that thing up. It was, especially sending the slide home on an empty mag. Like, I'll try not to make some noise here, but you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that straight out of the box. It would just not happen. I was pressing with both thumbs to release the slide. That's how stiff this was. But over time, it has gotten better. And one of the feature, I hope it is a feature. When you're shooting this, and then you run out of ammo, it locks back. You drop the mag. You put it in another one. It has this thing, I don't know if it has a name or if that's the official name. Auto slide forward. I don't even know if it's a thing. But basically, if you put in a loaded mag while the slide is pulled to the rear like this, if you give it enough push in there, the slide will automatically get sent or pushed into battery and load around for you. So you don't have to play with the mag release or pull from here or pull from the front, however you do it. Now, I've been able to find a sweet spot to use that feature. One thing I noticed, I don't think I've seen that covered, and maybe this is just with my firearm. If you angle it just enough, you push the base plate towards the back strap here, and you angle it that way and give it that good shove right there, it will work every time. If you just go straight up like this, it's a hit or miss. But if I apply down pressure like this enough as I'm going to reload, pressure, and then bam, on a loaded mag, this would have went forward. Of course, with speed, that momentum has to be there in order for that to work. It's a cool feature, but it could also be problematic. You may someday try to use that and then it sends the slide forward without actually chambering around. That's happened to me once. And that's what led me to actually try to figure out, when does it work well? And that's what I found out for me. At least for this firearm, that technique works all the time. Another thing I guess that I like really is how low maintenance this thing is. I have to say, because I haven't played with the internals, try to change parts or whatever, it just runs. It minds its business. It doesn't ask for anything except for ammo and spits it out. That's it. I was thinking of getting it ported, but I want to get at least 3,000 rounds through this firearm before I can even think about that. Just to make it feel like a brand new firearm. You know, trick my mind into thinking that this is new territory, new waters, you've never been there. That kind of thing. Instead of buying another firearm, you actually, and that's something that I realized. Instead of having to always buy a new firearm for a new experience, find ways to make the one that you already have better. Meaning softer shooting. If you have the option to make it a softer shooting gun while keeping it reliable, go for it. And that's basically what I'm looking to do with this one. Is as I progress in my training, I even want to take classes with it, take it through a full class and see how it fares, see how this optic holds up, see how the lights holds up before I can start, you know, making some other changes. What I don't like, I would say what I didn't like was the slide stop, slide release, depending on which side of the pond you're on. At first, it was very, very stiff. I mean, ridiculously stiff. But it's a non-issue at this point. I guess if I have to nitpick, is probably me not being able to find this specific model, but in urban gray or FDE. That would have been nice. Don't get me wrong, I like, you know, just simple black firearms, but I also like to spice things up. Now, would I recommend this firearm? Too late. I already have. Multiple times. That's how reliable this thing is. Now, I only have 780 to 800 rounds through this, but I know people that have had this longer than I have, and I don't see them complain. I don't complain about this. It just runs. As a matter of fact, this is what I always take with me when I'm either taking friends or family members, whoever, to the range as a new shooter. I always take my CZ P10C because I know if he goes up here, he'll come out this way. No matter who's shooting, works every time. And when we're done shooting, for the most part, you know, when they start to wonder, okay, what should be my first firearm or whatever, I always turn them to the one that you just shot, which is this. Look into this. Now, this is not a slight to Glock. Honestly, I actually think I'm doing them a disservice because with Glocks, you get, I mean, the aftermarket support is ridiculous. So you will have access to so many parts. You find them everywhere, Walmart, Sam's. That's just kidding. But you get my point. Glocks are, they're just so popular and well supported that I would say for a new shooter, they probably won't see the need in upgrading or switching parts, or I don't see them breaking parts or having to maintain parts due to wear because they're fairly new shooters. And I mean, Glock perfection, so it'll take them a while before they can start thinking about, you know, switching this for that or whatever. So I mean, CZ got a pretty good support as well in the aftermarket. So I turn them to what I know. And out of all my firearms, this is the one that I trust the most. You wake me out of my sleep, I gotta grab a firearm to defend my life. This will probably be the first thing I grab, and the PDP second. Again, I may have not gone into details that some of you guys expect or I have heard from other people, but this is just from my experience. Out of all my firearms, this one gives me the least problems and runs every time. So when they ask me which one, I always point to this one. I haven't had much experience with Glocks. I've shot Glocks before, but I haven't owned one to be able to turn them to Glocks. So this will be it for the CZ P10C. We're gonna dress it up again, you know, Christmas edition. Let's end this in beauty. Voila. Thank you all for taking the time to sit through this with me. I hope that you found some value in this video. And if you like content like this, please subscribe, like, share this video to let the Algo gods know that you care about this kind of content and that the 2A community is an awesome one. And they should leave us alone and let us be. With that said, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, y'all stay safe, and don't forget the reason, the real reason for this season. God bless.